Thank you so much for staying with us. Time for the conversation that I told you about earlier on. Remember, on our social media platforms, we are asking you, what do you think are the challenges of modern day parenting? Remember, you can send in your feedback at KTN News KE, at Grace Korea KE. You can also call in live at some point in the conversation just to send in your contribution. A recap of our question today is, what do you think are the challenges of modern day parenting? Of course, we'll be getting to that conversation shortly. But let's take a look at this piece that was prepared by my colleague Willie Lusige, where each generation of parents develops its own signature parenting style. But it goes without saying that in this current fast-paced, microwave innovative generation, flanked with internet and social media, many parents are struggling to keep up. In fact, some have described millennial children as narcissists, detached, violent, self-centered, environmentally and socially unconcerned and conceited. But there have been some success stories. Our reporter Willie Lusige caught up with young people in Kakamega to pick their brains on the issue and filed the following report.
So I was born in a small village in Western region and I was raised in a little bit difficult background. But apart from that, my parents made sure that we went to school and at least we had something to eat. They had set consistent boundaries, but apart from that, they were approachable and even they showed unconditional love. That is one kind of skills that I like from their parenting, and there's something that we'll never want to change. But I want to speak to some young men here and maybe to get one parenting skill they like from their parents and something that they want to improve in their future. Welcome to KTN News. We'll start with your name. Maybe just tell us briefly one parenting skill that you like from your parent, and maybe in future, what do you want to change compared to them?
Okay, thank you. My name is Timothy Wafula Makuto. Actually, one thing that I like about my mother is one skill I've learned from her is that she's honest. When my mother lacks something, she'll come out clearly and tells me, Tim, I lack. You know, there's this situation whereby parents don't want to prove the children that no matter how much you have, it reaches at a point in life where you lack something. And that alone has taught me much that as a parent, if I become a parent one day, I would like to encourage my children to teach them to understand that even parents at times lack. One thing else that maybe to improve on in future as a parent, I think as parents, one should be able to listen to the children. That's one thing that I want to do so that my children will be able to open up to me, and whenever they have any pressing issue, they are free to talk to me, because just offering that ear to listen to their complaints and anything they talk about, it makes them feel at least they have somebody they can run to in times of situations that are difficult. But some people lack parents who can do that. So that's what I want me to do in future.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Maybe let me speak to another young man. We'll begin with your name, what you like about your parents, that skill that you appreciate up to date, and even something that you want maybe to improve in future.
Okay, asante sana. Mimi naitwa Samumo, na kitu kimoja ambacho najivunia kwa wazazi wangu, walikuwa very strict disciplinarians. Alikuwa anatudiscipline vizuri. Hata mamangu akikuangalia hivi kwa macho ungejua umekosa. Nani maybe kama wazazi wageni wakitoka anakudiscipline vizuri proper. So tumegrow na hiyo discipline, tukijua kwamba vitu ametufunza tunafaa tufuate hivyo. Maybe one thing yenye ningependa rectify ni kupewa watoto wangu freedom na kuwagrow akijua wanafaa kujitegemea at a very early age. Yeah, unlike sisi kama venye tulikuwa tuna grow, ningependa watoto wangu wajifunze kujitegemea wakiwa watoto wadogo.
Asante sana. Wacha nimalizie. Let me finish with another young gentleman. Welcome to KTN News. Let's begin with your name. One skill that you like from your parents, how they taught you, how they brought you up, and maybe do you think is something that you'll stick to it or you'll change it?
My name is Stephen Akwera, and from my experience about parenthood, I feel so much great because from what I've received from my parents, it's far much greater than any other person has ever received. From the kind of care, the kind of generosity, and all the struggles that my parents have had all through to make me who I am today, it makes me become very much appreciative, and I thank God for what they've done to me. Upon my side, I don't think if there's much that we need to give to our young ones in case of birth. I want to believe the best thing that our children will need in life is just the good parenting hood, care and protection. That's all I can give out, because without that, then it means we have a very demoralized society, which will be a very poor generation. Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. So even for me, I just want to become a good father, teach my children how to survive in this world, and also apart from that, make sure that they are honest people, and apart from that, also make sure they're hardworking.
Well, in Willie Lusige there wants to be a good father, and I also would like to say that, some of the goals are to be a good mother, a good parent in future. But thanks so much, Willie Lusige, for that contribution to our discussion today. Now, time for that discussion on what you think are the challenges to modern day parenting. And my guests are with me in studio, Dr. Jana Kimani, a marriage counselor, Dr. Julius Kimani, a marriage counselor too, and Evelyn Kasina, who is a family IT consultant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Asante.
Now, I'd like us to start with reactions from, the people that my colleague Willie Lusige just spoke to there. Some saying, that parents should listen to children. Others saying that children should understand that even parents lack. Another one was saying that children should wajifunze kujitegemea in his own words. So let me get your quick reactions to, some of the people that Willie spoke to. If I could start with
Yeah, I think talking about listening, parents need to be better listeners. Parents need to be present. In this generation, we've got parents who are at home and perhaps they're on the phone, they're chatting, they're doing whatever. So they say, I'm at home with my child, but you're not present. So we need to create time and the sensitivity to be present with our children. And at times we talk to them too much. We tell them this is a way, walk in it. But you don't want to listen to them, because every child is loaded with their own type of wisdom. And every child is different from another. So we need to listen to our children, understand their vision, their goals, their expectations, their pain, and whatever they're going through. Listening to that child is a therapy on its own. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Julius, and it's also important for me to note that the two are a couple. So you'll also be sharing, your personal journey with us, in terms of raising your children. But Dr. Jane here tells us, to listen to our children. Dr. Julius, what do you have to say?
One thing I'll say is that parenting is not easy, and amazingly, you only get to do it once. There are no rehearsals. You just get into it, and you're on the journey. So I would say that we all need, both the parents and both the children that are being raised, there needs to be an understanding. Like I've seen, we've done counseling, and you find kids who are accusing their parents of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And they don't understand that this person was never maybe parented in a way that he should be able to do it. So what I think is there should be also understanding on both ways, that these parents were not taught. And in fact, we have a generation of parents now who are trying to learn a lot on how to raise kids. But the generation before did not have a clue. They did it the way they were raised. And so there has been a lot of mistakes. So we need to be easy on each other. Parents and kids, go easy.
In fact, it just reminded me of a note that was left by, I think, a high school student last week. She just fled home and left a letter saying that she's left home because she feels she's not getting the attention that she needs. And, the parents could probably be wondering, what is this attention that, my child wants? Flynn?
From my experience and just listening to what the viewers were saying, there's a lot of let's talk and understand each other. But from the people I talk to and the people how do we raise this generation? It's because all of us are on our gadgets. So that particular instrument is what is a barrier to modern parenting. Because yes, technology is very good and we cannot wish it away. But I keep insisting that there's a time for everything. And when that time comes, when you need to have that conversation with your children, keep those gadgets away so that you're giving them that attention that they deserve. For them to see that mom is listening to me, dad is listening to me. And the children also need to understand that, yes, our parents are here. Because what is happening right now is that everybody has been left to their gadgets. then now people are wondering, okay, so now what do we do? How do we parent this generation? Because they're getting very addicted. Then we are also very attached to our own gadgets. So I think, as he said, we need to be a bit lenient on each other. But I think parents of this generation need to understand when it is time to let down those gadgets, stop hanging out with their kids and bond. And by hanging out, I mean, we might be in the same setup. You're seeing your kids playing somewhere, but we are all on our phones, but we are not bonding. We are hanging out. So we need to start defining what is bonding. I'm talking to you in a normal way of what was the best part of your day? What were your challenges? How do you want to mitigate those challenges? What do you think we need to do better tomorrow? And those things are the ones that strike up conversations. And the child will feel, oh yeah, mom is just not asking me, how's your day? And the normal answer will be fine, right? And, you know, when we are having those family moments, we need to start understanding, okay, so how do we do this thing together? Because as he said, you're parenting once, and when you miss it, you've missed it. And there's no blueprint, by the way, and different children are raised differently. So I think the conversation should be the parent needs to start understanding where this child is and the time for technology. Yeah.
Sure, and speaking of the gadgets, we'll be getting to that, especially social media, because there are shocking statistics that I have shared to me by my editor, David, and they're really shocking, so we'll be getting to that. And also on that, one of the comments that I'm getting from our viewers is they're saying it's more of the media. Ngeni Kiprotich, he says it's more of the media doing most of the parenting. These kids are on their own.
True. Absolutely. I agree. You know, every child needs a mentor. And the most important mentor is a parent. And I say so many times we're busy, quote unquote, hustling for the children to give them a better tomorrow. And we say, I want my children to live better than I did. And we think about the financial, the material. We don't think about the moral codes and the ethics that you're going to pass to your children. So children have to be mentored. So at the end of the day, who mentors these children? Whatever they watch is their mentor. And I know they're very good programs, they're very good shows even for children. But at times we're not there to censor them and to know when you leave the child with a gadget. Because many times parents pay for their absence by buying children gifts.
That's true.
And that never compensates for their presence. So what happens? In these gadgets, they visit pornographic sites. They visit whatever they need to. They can learn things that you don't think they know. And that becomes their mentor. So I always say this, you give your children value, mentor them, sit with them, let them understand. Because when they came to this world, they knew nothing. You give them a chance to learn, or else anything else will train them what to become.
Sure. I'll be getting back to you after speaking to your husband, and I want to talk to you two as a couple. And Dr. Julius, I remember the first thing you said was parenting is hard. And, you know, it's a one-time thing. There's no manual to it. You know, there's none tells you, so this is what you do. After that, this is what you do. Then children are different. You know, we're living in different times. So now let's get to you personally as a dad. How has it been for you?
I think when the first time we got our son, that's almost 18 years ago.
18?
It was 18.
Yeah. Okay.
It was, you know, I have a friend in Dubai. He was also getting ready to become a father. And he sent me, I think, a message and said, have you read this book about how to be a father? And I realized I was not prepared at all. And I got shocked. But I came to realize that God has a way of training you, either from your mistakes or from what you've seen other people do. And so I would say the journey of parenting for us has been what we would call easy. One, I give credit to God, but at the same time, we want to say that we decided to be deliberate and intentional when it comes to parenting.
True.
We decided that we would spend more time with our children than anything and would listen to them. Have we made mistakes? I believe we have, because there are times, I remember my daughter came and she spoke to me and I was not listening, I was on my phone. And within a short while, I think girls are really emotional. I saw her sitting, sulking down, and she began to tear. And I was, what's wrong? And the first thing as a parent, you behave probably the way you saw your parents behave. And I began to rebuke her, and I began to be hard on her. And the next moment, I think she's the one who said, you better listen, you're on a phone too much. And she opened up and she was like, Dad, every time I speak to you, you're looking at your phone and you never look, we never talk face to face. And it was a wake-up call. And so I decided from that day, I will be less on my phone, and when whether it's my son or my daughter speaks to me, I will put my phone down and I would listen. And it has changed a lot of things, because even when the children can see that you can obey them, because that's kind of obedience, when they see that you can obey them, it becomes easier also for them to obey you. So I would say it requires a lot of deliberate and intentional decisions on how to raise kids. You can't just wish it, you do it deliberately. Yes.
I don't know how to frame this question, but where does apologizing to children come in this sense? Okay, I lost my dad.
Yes.
3 years ago, but I remember there's a time he called me for lunch rather, and we spoke. And in the course of the conversation, he was like, I'm sorry if there's anything, that I ever did that ever hurt you. And that rarely happens, And it's not like he had done anything wrong, by the way. He just said it so that in case there's anything wrong he ever did to me, and he's never had a chance to say it. So now I have a chance to forgive him. But where does the whole apologizing, does it actually happen in the first place?
It does.
It should.
It does.
Okay,
It does. Especially like as mothers, I've taught my children never to receive a negative word. Never. We have taught them since they were before they even joined preschool, that yes, you can be punished by the teacher, but when the teacher tells you you're thick, you're daft, you're anything, tell them, I am not, but with respect. And at times you get also tired, you've been busy, you've been tired, and they've not done what you wanted them to do. You think they're not understanding you, and you use a word like, I don't want you to, or use a word like, you're too slow, you're a slow thinker, or such a word. And they look at you. And exactly, I've done that once or twice while they were still young. And they're looking at you and judging you from your own sentence. And many times I've had to say, I retract those words, I'm sorry. You are great and you're mighty, but go do what I've told you to do. And so that I've done. And once a while back, I remember I also had a talk with them. And we were just discussing about the visions, goals, and what have you. And I asked them, why wouldn't you interact everything you have? They said, Mom, just like you talked about the phone, when we come to the house in the evening, kindly, can we find you on that seat? The in-law primary. Can we find you on that seat? We come here and you're busy cooking, you're doing this. I told them, I'm so sorry. I thought I'd do that for you. They said, no, we want you to do everything later. Kindly sit and listen. Told them, I'm sorry. I thought I was doing it for you, and they were very happy. So apologizing is very important. And as parents, we need to put pride down, because we train them. We are the first teachers. So we train them pride because we act proud. So when you don't apologize, they'll not apologize back.
That's true.
Yeah, so it is very important.
I just wanted to add on that, because I think one of the things we also need to understand is that we are human. And we need to teach our children we are as human as they are. And you cannot tell a child, when someone does something wrong to you, apologize, and when you do something wrong to them, you don't find it within yourself to do the same thing.
Sure.
So for me, it's about the humility and the fact that you need to appreciate that we are all human. And we have to start teaching them from what we model. I keep telling my children, I am the best model that you can be. And if I want to see a behavioral change, I have to model it for you.
That's true.
Because when I'm teaching children, I tell them the parents and the guardians are the primary role of influence. That's the primary part. Then they spend most of their time in schools. So whether they're being homeschooled or they're going to a normal school, that is the second. Then there's the third, that is society. So it will be either the physical or the virtual. They are more lenient to the virtual world. So if you kind of miss the first and the second, you might not be able to control the third. Because when they're online and you've not instilled certain values in them, they're lost. You cannot be that parent who has a fire extinguisher on your back ready to blow out every fire that happens. And especially in the virtual world, because you don't know where they are. They're in a global space. And the fourth one, I keep telling them, it's the government. And the government here comes in when you're doing policy, policy developers. So the government will help you with infrastructure and policy. So we really, unless you're in a place where you can maneuver that setup, you play among the three. The most important is the primary, which is the family, and the education centers. And when we are not modeling to them that, you know, saying I'm sorry does not show weakness.
Yes.
Saying that I'm wrong only proves that I'm human. So as much as we are parenting them in this sense, when they go online, they start seeing people being bullied, or they're bullying someone, you know, they will stand and say, wait a minute, I did something wrong, I need to apologize. Because they understand that that is not a form of weakness. And so saying I'm sorry is something that we also need ourselves to put ourselves in a position where we say, you know, I'm wrong, and that's not bad to acknowledge that I'm wrong. Yeah.
We need to take a break, but I want us to talk about the gadgets, which you actually raised. And, you know, in your line of duty, you encounter, you know, lots of children. So is this one of the, you know, the complaints per se that they bring to you?
Yes, especially the parents, and they would be like, how do I get my child off their phone? And the first question is I ask them, how much time are you spending on your phone? That's the first question I ask them. And because I have to teach the children how to monitor their screen time. And I have to also show the parents their role in that ecosystem. So yes, it's a mutual understanding, but then one of the biggest things is like, my child is always watching cartoons, my child is always playing games. And I tell them it's because probably you've not taught them how to harness that particular, you know, technology. So yes, it is one of the biggest challenges and one of the frequent questions that I get. Yeah.
Okay, we need to take a short commercial break. I'm just sampling a few of your feedback here. Remember, we're asking you what you think the challenge is in the modern age of parenting. Sylvester Aracha here says, before we teach the children, they already know it all in the name of technology. He's definitely, you know, concurring with what we've been saying here. Harry Ndongo says the living standards are high, and so parents are committed to work, hence lacking time for their families. I believe that has also come out. I'll be sampling more of your feedback. Keep it coming. You can also call in live once we come back, you know, from the break. The question again is, what do you think are the challenges of modern day parenting? Do stay with us. We are